Our frank talk with the CEO of the CEF continues as we round off our conversation with him. Right, so a lot of controversy. I mean, tonight I didn't want to, drag you back to 2005 and 6 and when there were all this oil gate and whatever. I just want to know in summary, do you think, unlike other parastatals that we see every day at the Zondo Commission, have you dodged the state capture bullet?
I think we need to also celebrate where, with everything that's happening in the country, there are state-owned entities that you do not have similar stories on.
Yeah.
And we need to celebrate the resilience, the governance, the controls that are in place in those entities.
Yeah.
And I mean, except for the story that you asked me about earlier on, there's nothing that you've heard since the Zondo Commission. We have, comfortably.
You're not going to appear there.
I mean, like all other state-owned entities, we have to submit any investigations in the past. But from where we are, we do not think we've suffered from any of those.
So you've dodged that bullet, you think?
With your expression. With what we know, we think our controls were intact, and it shows the resilience of us as a state.
No, we're happy to hear that, certainly. You are talking now to me at the time when the country is grappling with the energy policy, right? Mixed policy. A couple of years ago, not even so long ago, we were talking about nuclear, trying to overshadow everything else, etc. What is your stand as CEF about the overall energy security initiatives of government as we speak now?
I think we embrace the IRP and the policies.
Yeah.
That as a country you need to maintain that you must have your mixed energy source.
Yeah.
Because first of all, we are a country rich of coal. And therefore, we need to be able to beneficiate it so that we can grow the economy of this country. So it is not something that we can wish off. So we strongly believe that this is something we need to leverage on. We also support the fact that there are other new energy sources, such as your renewables. And within the self-stable, we do have renewable divisions where we are also looking at other alternative sources of energy. So within the group, we have a coal company that mines where we sell coal. We have a division that is dealing with clean energy and renewables, where we're also looking at, in terms of supporting government, in terms of the solar power. So we really embrace...
That sounds very, very interesting. And who did suggest, though, that the left hand may not have been knowing what the right hand is doing? Because there was a point where ESCOM, just 2 years ago, not even too long ago, right, put the brakes on renewables to say this is not the way... A full company, which is state-owned, that's busy producing renewables. How did that work?
In as much as I don't think I'm the one qualified to speak on behalf of ESCOM.
Yeah.
But when you look at ESCOM's strategy from a distance, which is what I'll do, there is an immediate crisis that ESCOM was facing with a certain demand. And you look at the maturity of the technology and the availability of energy at the particular time from a distance. I would say perhaps what would have informed some of these approaches, you'll be saying how mature is the technology and how much can I get in the immediate from other sources of energy to be able to ensure that I balance the grid. I would not say it was a strategy that disregarded everything else. Otherwise, within ESCOM, you'd not have a division that has been working on the development of renewables and we are able to engage them. So we need to appreciate that not all technologies are sitting at the same level of maturity.
So we may not be ready to have a big chunk of our power being left to renewables at the moment. At
the moment, because you need to transition. You also need to appreciate that you're sitting with a lot of power stations that are coal-based. Would you be able to replace them immediately? The answer is if we want. So one needs to appreciate those dynamics.
Ayanda in Port Elizabeth. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. And how are you?
All right, how are you?
I am very well, sir. Good evening to the gentleman on the studio there.
Yes, go for it.
I want to ask, what happened to Umtombo, what that was supposed to take place in the IDZ of Ikuha or Ingoha, and which did not take place. We just hear rumors that it was removed to Durban without a proper explanation, because the expectation was created and it was much advertised to the people of Port Elizabeth, knowing that there will be plus minus 2,500 jobs that will be created and people will be employed. Is any future plans to bring that project back in Port Elizabeth? But we're still eager to have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You touched on it earlier, but is it the same thing he's asking?
No, he's asking.
Specific now, talking about IDZ now.
He's asking the right question on the project. The project Mthombo was going to be building a 300,000 barrels per day refinery in Port Elizabeth, in the port of Inguha. So the gentleman what he's saying is factual. This is the study that was undertaken at the time with PetroSA. We also, however, need to appreciate that you've had certain market demand changes. South Africa, in terms of oil demand, is concentrated in the Gauteng province. And from the Eastern Cape, you do not have a pipeline where you can move finished products from PE into via Free State, Gauteng, etc. And that is where bulk of the demand in the country is sitting. So one of the challenges with Project Mthombo that was looking at Guga as a location became to say, if I build it here, I'm far from the markets. And it is not PetroSA's mandate to build pipeline infrastructure. That becomes Transnet's mandate. Was that part of the plan? Those becomes challenges. The refinery now...
But why didn't you collaborate with Transnet to do that?
Can I finish? The refinery now, we are looking at building the refinery, we are considering building it in Richards Bay. And this is what was announced by the Honorable Minister.
So you brought it closer?
Closer, because you are complaining about cost. You build a refinery in PE, you must ship the product to Durban only for you to pipe it. Yet if you build it around that area, you'll be piping it. Recognizing also that Guga, the CDC, is a very strategic asset for the country. Therefore, the Honorable Minister announced that we are looking at building Guga as the energy hub, as the LNG hub, your liquid natural gas hub in that area. So it was not an issue, the project was just taken away. You need to look at the market dynamics and say, if I look at this...
Since the original planning was not taking into account the fact that you have to transport this thing to the central...
So at the time, that was one of the limitations of the project. And now there is work that we are doing as the CEF group, where we are developing pre-feasibility study on building an LNG hub of the country at Inguha, so that we are able to develop the economy. Noting that PE is an area where you're sitting with a lot of motor car industry, you're also sitting with the Didisa power station, and you're also sitting about 400 kilometers away from Mossel Bay, which needs gas for its plant. Then strategically, it makes sense for you to put LNG there so that you can supply your power stations and be able to operate your refinery, whilst you look at the alternative location, which is also informed by the market for the new refinery.
Makes absolute sense. Let's go to Cape Town. Pumzile in Cape Town. Good evening.
Yes, good evening, JJ.
Go for it, please.
Yes, it's Pumlani, actually.
Hello, Pumlani. Go for it.
Yes, quick one. Three questions. One, I heard the CEF CEO mention that they had dodged the Zondo Commission, and that's commendable. But I wanted to just share with you whether there are any investigations taking place at PetroSA where he previously was. And then the second one is his relationship with Labour when he was still the CEO of PetroSA. I understand that Labour won a STIP award, and under his leadership, that award was not affected by management, and that led to wasteful expenditure where it was referred to the Labour Board.
This is when he was where?
This is correct.
Where he was, it was
former.
It was one at MPCCI, National Academy Council.
Okay.
But management under his leadership decided to appoint lawyers to continue to frustrate that process at the Labour Court. And lastly, we understand further that the turnaround plan was rejected more than 2 times by the minister under his leadership. Can he advise why the turnaround plan was rejected and whether now at first there is anything new that he's able to do to ensure that the minister does approve the turnaround plan.
All right, that's a mouthful there, Pumlani. We've very limited time, so please deal with it quickly for me. Let's start with the track record issue. You know, he seems to be questioning your track record and the fact that under your leadership, the turnaround plan was rejected twice by the political leadership.
We firstly thank you, Mr. Pumlani Manikivane.
You know him?
I know him.
Okay.
He is the secretary of SEPHAO at Plant.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so I understand it.
All right.
I think we need to contextualize things.
Okay.
Because the organization, firstly, is not about a person. What the minister never approved was the SEF group corporate plan and turnaround.
Yeah.
Because at the time, the issue that was raised was that it is not taking PetroSA out of the deep. It is making PetroSA to continue just to breathe.
Yeah.
And therefore, there was a requirement to do detailed work.
Okay.
And therefore, the whole, and this was not just unique. And we need to appreciate the fact that PetroSA, when Project Equasi failed, was supposed to have closed down in 2015.
Yeah.
PetroSA continues to run today. And therefore, you need to contextualize the challenges of PetroSA, one,
Right.
so that we're clear.
And then the labor issue?
The labor issue, South Africa has laws that all citizens, both labor and the entities, needs to apply for. When an entity exercises the right to go to labor law to test something, it is not breaking law. It is not wasteful expenditure. Otherwise, there would not have been a provision in law to say if you are not happy with arbitration or any resolution of that matter, go to labor courts. So
the courts have also frowned on public sector appealing.
No, but in this instance, the matter went for arbitration.
Okay.
And within particular days,
It was solved.
14 days, if the matter is arbitrated, you have a right to go appeal. Both the employer and the employee can take the matter
There was
to labor
no
courts.
wasted money.
So
on
if
that
the
case.
company exercises that right, you can't then say there is wasteful
He's claiming that
expenditure.
there was, but
No, there is none.
So there was
because
no,
the matter has not even been heard by the court.
I see. All right.
It is sitting before the court.
Then the last question he asked, which is quite pointed, he's saying, are there any investigations at the moment that are running at PetroSA?
If you look at all entities, let's talk PetroSA. PetroSA has a whistleblowing policy. And employees will whistleblow.
Sure.
And therefore, there would be forensic and investigation. It is part of the norm. What we should talk to, has there been any unlawful funding? Not are there investigation. It will be abnormal of us to say things must not be investigated. Then the question is, what are we hiding? What we need to talk to, it is not an issue, have you been accused? It is an issue, have you been found guilty? And what was done with that?
So you are satisfied that things are running proper in terms of governance?
Until we find the investigations are concluded and people in terms of the labor law follow the disciplinary codes, are disciplined, then you can talk to that and say, why is somebody who's been found guilty like this? So until then, I think we need to be respectful to all
you have run
parties.
out of time completely. If you come back in a year, what should I judge you against? Just one thing.
I think one thing that you need to judge us on is going to be the progress we would have made with the development of the refinery in Richards Bay and the work that we are doing in Kucha and some of our growth projects which we've not had time to share on.
So you'll be back?
We'll be back.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing with us to educate our viewers about issues of energy, and we wish you well in the work that you are doing.
Thank you very much, sir, and the listeners.
The CEO of the CEF group here, acting CEO of the CEF group, joining us tonight on our Frank Talk. Of course, if you missed a bit of that interview, you can find it on our YouTube channel. And of course, it will also be on catch up if you miss it completely with some highlights there from this interview. Let's take a break now.